During a game of truth or dare, I was challenged to kiss a random stranger. In the dim bar lights, I grabbed a man in dress pants and pressed my lips to his. When I tried to pull away after a chaste peck, he deepened the kiss with his tongue. I shoved him off, scrambling backward, but he seized my wrist. A hauntingly familiar voice murmured, "Well, do I meet your standards now?" Junior year, I dated Ethan Smith, tall, brilliant, and devastatingly handsome. His quiet intensity drew me in completely. When he confessed his feelings under the campus magnolias, I said yes without hesitation. Our relationship unfolded softly. Ethan spoke little, blushing crimson whenever I initiated kisses. He'd bury his face against my neck afterward, breath warm and unsteady. Yet his thoughtfulness shone through ginger tea during my period. The first winter strawberry tart delivered to my dorm, sprinting across campus with an umbrella when storms caught me unprepared. These small tendernesses dismantled my defenses. I became his shadow, clinging to every shared moment. He never complained, even when I invaded his study sessions. Everything shattered on our anniversary. I'd rushed back from an internship in another city, dragging my suitcase through the drizzling campus. Ryan, Ethan's roommate, intercepted me at the dorm entrance. "Looking for Ethan? He's out," he said, avoiding my eyes. My call went straight to voicemail. As silence stretched, Ryan finally jerked his chin toward town. "Come on. I'll show you." He led me to a private KTV lounge, the door slightly ajar. Through the haze of cigar smoke, I saw Ethan's profile illuminated by a flickering lighter. A cigarette dangled from his lips as he listened to the leering crowd. "Seriously, when are you gonna seal the deal with that girl?" someone heckled. Another voice cut through the smoke, "Sophia's got that bombshell body though. Worth the wait, right?" Ethan's smirk flashed in the dimness as he exhaled a plume of smoke. The lighter snapped shut. I stood frozen, acid rising in my throat. The boy who flinched at loud noises now lounged in this den of debauchery. The man who brought me handmade birthday cards held court with wolves. I boarded the next train out, ghosting him for 24 hours before sending the breakup text. His calls flooded in immediately. I blocked every number. He came anyway. Moonlight carved hollows under Ethan's bloodshot eyes as he slumped against my apartment door. "Why?" his whisper cracked. "Did I not satisfy you?" The lie slipped out cold and smooth, "Your kissing skills are terrible." "I'm done." Ethan froze for a moment, his thin lips parting slightly before closing again without uttering a word. I couldn't bear to see him like this and immediately shut the door in his face. The facade of strength collapsed, leaving me drained as I slid down onto the cold floor. I let my mind go blank until the silence outside confirmed his departure. I never found out when exactly he left, nor did I see him again after that day. Years later, my college roommate Emily tentatively asked, "Have you moved on?" I popped a French fry into my mouth. "From who?" "Ethan. Don't know him. I heard he's studying abroad. 2-year program. Cool. Also heard he's been asking around about how to improve kissing techniques. Cool. Now, staring at this face I hadn't seen in nearly 3 years, I felt disoriented. When I didn't respond, Ethan repeated his question. Mistaking my silence for inattention, I asked how it felt. "Do I meet your standards now?" I pulled my hand free from his warm grasp. "So you spent 2 years overseas practicing tongue techniques with blonde Barbie dolls?" Instead of taking offense, Ethan chuckled. "Jealous?" I shook my head. "Just concerned about STDs. You seem high risk." His smile faltered at my response. I turned to leave, but Ethan began haunting my apartment building like some persistent ghost. The moment he spotted me, he closed in like a predator cornering prey. "Sophia, I've missed you." His voice dropped to a murmur. "I've never kissed anyone else. No diseases. I swear, My technique might suck, but we could practice together. Rolling my eyes, I marched toward my unit. He trailed me all the way to the door, just as I tried to slam it shut like old times. He wedged his foot in the doorway and slipped inside. "This is trespassing," I snapped. Undeterred, he flashed that infuriating grin. "We haven't finished today's kissing drills. Baby. I'll leave after we're done." The alcohol haze made me sluggish. I didn't resist when he kissed me, only biting his lip as he lingered, hard enough to draw blood. The metallic tang flooded our mouths. "Didn't know you were into this," he murmured, thumb swiping at his bleeding lip. I jerked away, cheeks burning. Ethan laughed softly, ruffling my hair like placating a temperamental cat. "Sophia, what will it take for you to trust me again?" After a beat, I met his gaze. "Get a full STD panel. Clean results. Clean slate." I expected the proud Ethan to refuse, but in the next heartbeat, he nodded. "Deal. But you'd better keep your word." I kept my head down, not responding to him. Yet when he left, I still keenly caught the desolation in his eyes. The next day at 7 a.m., Ethan appeared at my doorstep with a thick stack of medical reports. Still half asleep, I took the papers and flipped through them carelessly. "How did the test results come out so fast?" I asked, puzzled. He explained earnestly. "It's from our family-owned hospital, so they prioritized it." I sighed inwardly, bitterly wishing I had that kind of wealth. Perhaps sensing my silence, Ethan tried to play the sympathy card. "They took 2 whole vials of blood. It hurt," he said, thrusting his arm forward to show the needle mark. My gaze lingered for 2 seconds before shifting to the mole beside it, the same spot I'd playfully nibbled years ago. Light enough to leave no scar. When I remained quiet, Ethan grew anxious. "Sophia, talk to me," he pleaded. I snapped back to reality and replied coldly, "Noted. Go home and wait for updates." His eyes widened, glistening with hurt. "Sophia, you're lying to me." That word ignited my temper. With so many people chasing me now, I retorted sharply, "Shouldn't you be taking a number in France first?" I expected anger, but Ethan simply nodded. "Fine. I'll wait my turn." But his voice dropped. "Can we still practice kissing today?" I hesitated, about to refuse, when his hands gripped my waist. He leaned in until his lips hovered a breath from mine. "I think," he murmured, voice rough, "Sophia likes it rougher." Before I could react, his mouth crashed against mine in a searing kiss that left me trembling. As things escalated, I shoved him away. "We can't keep doing this." Ethan smirked, relentless. "Baby, did I improve today?" My racing heartbeat betrayed me, cheeks flushing crimson, though I muttered, "It was average." He sighed dramatically. "Guess I'll try harder tomorrow." That night, I tossed in bed, reliving the morning's kiss while anticipating the next. But then I remembered the way he'd stayed silent when his friends mocked me. My heart chilled. Reaching for my phone, I deleted his contact again, thinking about the past, recent events, a sleepless night. The next day, I arrived at the office with dark circles under my eyes. Ryan glanced at me once before placing a cup of coffee on my desk. He teased with a smile. "Stayed up late reading novels again last night?" I shook my head, not wanting to elaborate. Unexpectedly, Ryan extended another invitation. "There's a new barbecue place at the mall. Want to grab lunch?" My heart sank as I prepared to decline. But he added, "I heard Ethan is back. Are you avoiding me because of him?" I forced a bitter laugh. "Don't be ridiculous." The truth was, I'd been keeping distance because Ryan's romantic interest made our friendship uncomfortable. Before I could explain, He waved a Mercedes key decisively. Just picked up this new ride. We can cruise after eating. Reluctantly, I agreed, resolving to clarify everything during lunch. At noon, Ryan bypassed the barbecue joint entirely, steering us to an upscale steakhouse. As I hesitated, he pulled out a chair with exaggerated courtesy. Miss Sophia, your seat. I cringed internally while maintaining composure. This felt alarmingly date-like. While he meticulously cut my steak, I rehearsed my speech for the 8th time. Ryan, I've always valued our friendship. He slid the sliced meat toward me, smoothly interrupting. Aren't you hungry? Eat first. I stared at the pristine tablecloth. Appetite vanished until a shadow fell across the table. Ethan stood glowering. I wouldn't mind you dating others. But why block me? My breath hitched as chaos compounded. He turned to Ryan with icy hostility. You queuing up in Paris too, buddy? As tensions escalated, I tugged Ethan's sleeve. This doesn't involve him. My gesture only fueled his frustration. Sophia, you lied again. I finally snapped. And you never did? His wounded expression faltered into confusion. Done with explanations. I grabbed my purse and left. Avoiding both men, I took emergency PTO. Home barely an hour. My phone buzzed with Ryan's selfies, swollen nose, blackened eye. Your ex hits like a truck. My entire body aches right now. Before I could respond, someone knocked on the door. Sophia, I'm sorry for interrupting your meal earlier. I brought takeout from that little diner you loved in college. Could you open the door? I remained seated, speaking through the wooden barrier. What I liked in college doesn't mean I still enjoy it now. Ethan's voice deflated. He kept apologizing as if experiencing the lowest moment of his life. Eventually rambling, Sophia, I'll stop bothering you both. I can be the other man. I don't need any commitment. His words grew increasingly absurd. I yanked the door open and pulled him inside. Keep your voice down. Do you want the neighbors to hear this nonsense? Ethan stood frozen, eyes locked on mine. Suddenly he began stripping coat, shirt, everything while insisting I'm better looking than him. My physique's superior. What does he have that I don't? Within seconds, he stood completely naked. I averted my gaze. Stop this. He cupped my face, forcing me to look. You used to love admiring my body. Why won't you look now? I sighed with feigned solemnity. I can't bring myself to wound a man's pride. His expression shattered. You abandoning me is the real wound. As I wrestled with guilt, bruises on his waist caught my eye, tracing the discolored skin. I asked, Ryan did this? He nodded. But I won in the end. How juvenile. Though disgusted by his immaturity, I fetched the first aid kit. While applying ointment, he suddenly gripped my wrist. Would you treat him this kindly too? I rolled my eyes and pressed harder on his injury, making him hiss. When I stayed silent, he nuzzled my neck like a sulky child. You still care about me more, right? We haven't practiced today. Should we train later? Ignoring his suggestion, I changed subjects. 3 years ago, I went to that KTV. Heard you discussing me with your buddies. Ethan froze before realization dawned. You heard everything? Enough of the important parts. I murmured. To my surprise, his head drooped. Is that why you left me? Because you hate that I fight? I don't have anger issues. I just lost control that time. The ache in his voice mirrored the bruises we both carried, his visible on skin. Mine etched deeper where no ointment could reach. And Ryan was the one who started it earlier. I felt dazed, only now realizing he'd gotten into a fight at the karaoke too. Before I could speak, Ethan wrapped his arms around me from behind. Baby, I won't do it again. Don't be mad. Okay? I sighed, struggling against his embrace but failing to pry even a single finger loose. Aren't you a bit old to be this clingy compared to when we were in college? He nuzzled his face against my back. I'm not that old. My 25th birthday isn't for months. 25? Such a sensitive number for men. Suppressing laughter. I deadpanned. Once men hit 25, they might as well be 65. Ethan abruptly released me. Just as I thought I'd struck a nerve. He flashed that shameless grin. Then maybe you should try the 24-year-old version while you still can? His eyes sparkled with mischief. I pinched his waist. Feels more like rewarding bad behavior. Unfazed. He gazed up like an eager puppy. Exactly. Please reward me, master. My breath hitched. Those 2 years abroad had clearly expanded his repertoire. Before I could respond, Ethan scooped me up, carrying me toward the bedroom with deliberate slowness. Sophia, he murmured against my ear, voice thick with promise. Let's try. My arms looped around his neck in silent consent. I'd checked the medical report, clean bill of health. Visually inspected the merchandise, more than satisfactory. All things considered, this transaction favored me. Just one night. No strings attached. As passion fogged the room, my nails accidentally raked his back. I jerked my hand away, flustered, only to have him capture my wrist. It's okay, baby, Ethan breathed, pressing my palm to his pounding heartbeat. Doesn't hurt. Feels like love. Heat flooded my cheeks. I kicked at him weakly, but he easily trapped my ankle. His voice softened with concern. You've lost weight these past 2 years. Not eating properly? Must we really chat right now? His lips brushed my collarbone. You keep ignoring me otherwise. I didn't cry, but Ethan's eyes turned red instead. He nestled lazily in my arms, begging me to comfort him. After coaxing him for a long while, he finally calmed down. He greedily kissed the corner of my eye. Sweetheart, rest first. I'll carry you to shower later. After speaking, he casually threw on some clothes and walked out of the bedroom. Though exhausted, I grew suspicious and followed. I found him sitting casually by the floor-to-ceiling window, slender fingers holding a glowing cigarette ember wreathed in smoke. His eyelashes fluttered, eyes filled with emotions I couldn't decipher. I walked over and snatched the cigarette from his hand, then crushed it. Ethan, this is the first lie you've told me. When we got together, I said I hated smoke. You claimed you didn't smoke. Catching my implication, he hastily explained, I rarely do. Except under special circumstances. Confused, I tilted my head. And today's reason? Ethan suddenly stood, leaning to whisper mischievously in my ear, post-sex cigarette. Men usually crave smoke after being well-fed. I froze. Before reacting, he'd already lifted me up, heading straight for the bathroom. His voice turned husky, sweetheart. Let's shower together. In the end, what should have been a 10-minute shower stretched to 40 minutes. He washed me until I lacked strength to even put on pajamas. While he smiled contentedly, fastening my buttons, he teased, feels like raising a daughter. Too drained to retort. I simply burrowed into his embrace and fell into deep sleep. I woke to complete darkness. Ethan's endless energy had him not only changing the sheets earlier but now preparing to wash the used ones. I yawned. We have a washing machine. He scratched his head sheepishly. Saw that. But couldn't find detergent. Fully awakening, I fetched the detergent. Just as Ethan loaded the sheets, knocking sounded at the door. Sophia? You home? Ryan's voice. My heart clenched. Ethan's face immediately darkened. Can you pretend we're out? I bit my lip, hesitating to speak. He immediately switched to a pitiful expression. Never mind. I'm the third wheel. I should be the one hiding. I found his demeanor both endearing and amusing, so I ruffled his hair. Instantly, Ethan seemed fully pacified. Go open the door. I'll hide in the closet, he said. I nodded in mock agreement and went to answer. Ryan exhaled in relief upon seeing me. I've been calling all afternoon. When you didn't pick up, I thought something happened. I shook my head. Did you need something? My tone remained polite as always. But today he looked wounded. Sophia, you're so cold to me, he said bitterly. Unsure how to respond, I stayed silent. He continued. The company asked me to deliver documents. I'm not here to disturb your rest. He handed me a folder, which I accepted with both hands and a courteous thank you. Just as I thought the interaction was over, Ethan materialized in the hallway clutching 2 bedding sets. Sweetie, should we use the pink sheets or the blue ones? He asked casually. His sudden appearance froze both Ryan and me in awkward silence. Oblivious. Ethan blinked at me. Sweetie? Why so quiet? Suppressing a sigh, I replied. The pink ones. Instead of leaving, he joined the conversation. You've always loved pink best. Guess what you liked in college still holds true. Huh? What do you think, buddy? Ryan's smile turned sardonic. You're living together now? Before I could explain, Ethan cut in, starting today. Yes. Their eyes locked, Ethan's gaze openly challenging. Ryan's dripping with contempt. The air crackled with tension. I finally snapped. Want to throw punches? Take it outside. Not in my home. The sharp crack of knuckles popping came from Ryan's direction. But Ethan adopted that wounded puppy look again. Sweetie. I promised I'd stop fighting. Besides. He rubbed his shoulder dramatically. The spot where you applied the medicine earlier still hurts. Hearing him say that, Ryan seemed both amused and exasperated. He bluntly retorted. Manipulative guy. Ethan didn't argue. Simply edging closer to me. Sophia. He's so mean. You don't think he'll hit me again, do you? He said pitifully. As everyone knows, women can never fully resist this type of calculated vulnerability. I instinctively shielded Ethan. It's getting late. Thanks for bringing over the documents. Maybe you should head home to rest? I suggested. Ryan looked incredulous. Can't you see he's acting? I nodded, then shook my head, finally sighing. I conceded. He's not all there mentally. Just humor him sometimes. My response made Ryan chuckle. He didn't press further, simply whispering good night before turning to leave. Ethan immediately rushed to the doorway, calling after him. Don't worry about us. I'll take good care of her tonight. Rubbing my temples, I moved to shut the door. I'm starting to ship you two as a couple, I muttered. Ethan pretended not to hear, grinning goofily. Ship who? Us? That'd make for great fanfiction. Ignoring him, I walked to the living room. The moment I settled on the couch, the aroma of noodles wafted through the air. Ethan suddenly bolted to the kitchen, his panicked voice carrying down the hall. Damn it. Ryan distracted me. I completely forgot about the stove. 5 minutes later, Ethan presented me with steaming tomato egg noodles. You can cook now? I asked, genuinely surprised. This was the same guy who'd once burned simple ginger tea during my period back in college, eventually ordering me boba milk tea as apology, a story I'd teased him about for weeks. Ethan handed me chopsticks with a shrug. Had to learn. American takeout gets old fast. I nodded, slurping another mouthful. He watched me with puppy dog eyes full of anticipation. Good? Truthfully, it tasted bland. but not wanting to crush his spirit. I fibbed. Amazing! Best tomato egg noodles I've ever had. I proceeded to finish every last strand. My enthusiastic response visibly buoyed him. Humming off key, Ethan cheerfully washed the dishes while I quietly wondered how many YouTube tutorials he'd binge-watched to pull this off. I watched Ethan's busy figure. A warm feeling surged in my heart. In that instant, I decided to stop being difficult. When Ethan finished cleaning, I would pull him down to sit and calmly discuss what happened back then. After finishing an episode of Crayon Shin-chan, Ethan was still tidying the kitchen. His obsessive-compulsive tendencies showed as he scrubbed the stovetop 3 times until it gleamed, then grabbed the broom to sweep. I couldn't bear it anymore. Waving him over, I said, "Take a break." Hearing this, he obediently sat beside me like an obedient little puppy. I couldn't resist cupping his face. "Ethan, what did I mean to you when we were dating?" He blinked. "My girlfriend." My hands fell from his warm cheeks. Softly I asked, "Why didn't you speak up when your friends discussed my looks, figure, and family background?" Ethan's expression hardened. Talking sense to gossipers is useless. I beat them up instead. They promised never to speak carelessly again. Suddenly I realized his fight at the KTV that day. Had I left too early? Was that fight about this? Now Ethan looked confused. "Didn't you say you heard everything?" I flushed. I'd only overheard fragments. We were becoming like those misunderstanding-driven romance novel couples who waste years apart. Seeing my silence, Ethan finally understood. "You broke up because I stayed silent during their inappropriate comments?" I nodded weakly. Ethan suddenly laughed. "I thought you'd found someone better at kissing." My fingers twisted nervously. That was a lie. There's been no one else. He pulled me into a tight embrace, one hand stroking my back. Hoarsely he pleaded, "Now that we've cleared this up, let's never fight like this again. Okay? Okay." After a pause, I added, "There's nothing between me and Ryan." Ethan withdrew one hand and pinched my cheek, his eyes brimming with amusement. I know." Then I threw myself into his arms and whispered, "You're the only person I've ever kissed." While I was pouring out my heartfelt confession, Ethan simply curved his lips into a smirk. "Is that so? Maybe we should practice more often then." True to his unrestrained nature, Ethan had insisted on 30 minutes of kissing practice the previous night. When I woke up this morning and examined my slightly swollen lips in the bathroom mirror, all those blush-inducing memories came flooding back. Noticing my dazed reflection, Ethan wrapped his arms around me from behind, nuzzling into the crook of my neck. "Still tired?" I shook my head. "Hungry." Considering I'd skipped lunch yesterday and only eaten noodles for dinner, not to mention all that physical exertion, it was hardly surprising. His lips quirked upward. "Finish getting ready and I'll take you out for breakfast." As I sped up my toothbrushing, Ethan slipped out of the bedroom like a thief. When I later found him in the living room, 2 bank cards and 3 property deeds were neatly arranged on the coffee table. I raised an eyebrow. "Are you trying to flex your wealth?" He pushed the items toward me with determination. "This is everything I own. I know I failed to make you feel secure last time. Since this is my first relationship, I thought putting all my assets in your hands might help." Glancing at the bank cards, I asked bluntly, "What's the pin?" "Our anniversary." He answered eagerly, clearly thrilled by my lack of refusal. After a pause, he added, "When my father finally hands over the company, I'll transfer my shares to you too." I couldn't help laughing. "Does your dad know about the stellar display of filial piety?" Ethan scratched his neck sheepishly. "I may be lovesick, but I trust you completely." His earnest expression melted my resolve. Taking one card, I said seriously, "I understand your intentions, but this is enough." I had no desire to dampen his enthusiasm. Besides, I'd learned my lesson, only fools try to save money for men. A year into our reconciliation, Ethan began casually inquiring about my preferred jewelry brands and whether I favored diamond or gold rings. Then one morning, he suddenly called a makeup artist to do my makeup and dressed me in my favorite gown. But it wasn't for a banquet. Instead, he said he'd take me somewhere romantic for a date. I wasn't some naive little girl anymore, I knew he was about to propose. Ethan seemed unusually nervous. His palms slightly sweaty when he held my hand. I chuckled softly to reassure him. "Don't be nervous." He turned to look at me, probably thinking I remained clueless. "I'm not nervous," he insisted, voice tight. "We date every day, why would this be any different?" I bit back a smile and nodded, deciding not to expose his obvious anxiety. When night fell, the flower-covered Ferris wheel rose to its peak as colorful fireworks bloomed across the dark sky. Ethan's hands trembled visibly as he pulled a pink glittering diamond ring from his suit pocket. Kneeling on one knee, he offered his heart to me. And finally, I said those words, "I do." Tears glistened in Ethan's eyes when he heard my answer. I reached up to wipe them away before wrapping my arms around his neck, pulling him close. Beneath fireworks meant only for us. We kissed, softly at first, then deeply. After what felt like forever, he reluctantly pulled back. I squeezed his damp palm, grinning. "Silly. I figured out your proposal plan ages ago." His eyes widened. "So there was no surprise?" "Maybe I should." I pressed a finger to his lips. "I loved every moment." I whispered. "My feelings haven't changed since the day we met." As fireworks cascaded around us, we kissed again, our happiness crystallized in that endless instant. Extra, Ethan's perspective. Since childhood, I'd been surrounded by frivolous heirs who treated life like a game. I despised their disrespectful attitudes. Yet family business ties forced me to tolerate them. Until the day they began openly discussing my girlfriend in front of me. I lit a cigarette, trying to suppress my rage. By the time I finished smoking, the fury remained uncontainable. So I beat them all up. I pounded them until they were whimpering and crawling on the ground, begging for their parents. Only then did I stop. Because of the fight, my father flew into a rage. He hurled a stack of documents from his desk straight at my head. The sharp edge of the file sliced my forehead open. Bright red blood trickled down my face. He glanced at me and sneered. "At least you've got some spine." Then he tossed another document at me. It was an overseas business school application. I refused outright. "I'm not going." My father's smile remained, but his eyes turned glacial. "Then how can I entrust the company to you?" All I could think about was not being separated from Sophia. I compromised. "I don't want your company." He laughed contemptuously. "I know why you fought. Let me ask you this, how can you protect the woman you love without financial power?" That moment, I knew I had to go. After returning from studying abroad, Ryan came to see me once. He ground out through clenched teeth, "Ethan, you already have everything. Can't you leave Sophia to me?" I stared at his once familiar face, now a stranger's. "Sophia's a person, not a trophy. We should respect her choice instead of negotiating behind her back. From the beginning to the end, she's all I've ever wanted." Ryan's smile turned vicious. "Fine. Keep your moral high ground." After 2 seconds, he continued calmly, "Let's make this fair. I won against you 3 years ago. I'll win again." He walked out without looking back. I didn't understand his meaning until months later, when Sophia and I reconciled, and Ryan vanished from our lives completely. Just as I'd nearly forgotten this rival, he called. "You win, Ethan." I surrender. Someone like me doesn't deserve Sophia. Be happy. He hung up before I could respond. Sophia heard every word. She said nothing. Just kissed my forehead with that soft smile. How about a good morning kiss? The end.